Hello, welcome back to Holding a Hand Through Hell. My name's Anita. Welcome back. I'm still kind of mostly off my foot still from the surgery, but it is progressing quite a bit. It's progressing well. Thank you. Thought I should mention that because you see the pillows back here. Anyways, I would like to talk about compliance with medications and how they affect the people who have, um, mental health issues and concerns. And one of the main thing is with compliance of medication is that normally once a person feels better or feels like they're not as depressed or whatever, they normally or more likely to stop taking their medications because they're better, right? And with mental health, that's not necessarily the case. The better is not, you're only better because you are taking the medication, not that you're better now you can stop the medication. And there is a huge difference. And there's also a difference between the different types of medicines and where you are as far as your mental health. So mine for me, as far as my bipolar disorder, it helps to keep me level so I don't have so many ups, so many downs. I work really hard and keeping myself and my um, environment very calm. So I don't have those because I have periods of time where I do take my medication as prescribed, and then you get tired. It's just like, oh, one day I'll miss one day. It won't hurt anything. So you miss one day, and that one day leads in, oh, I forgot, and I'll start it first thing in the morning because I take my medications in the morning, and then another day goes by, and before you know it, a week, a month, whatever has gone by, and you don't really catch it. I don't really catch it until I'm wondering, why am I I'm still able to function, I'm still able to do things, I'm still able to go to work, I'm still able to have conversations and deal with people and deal with my situation and everything. And then all of a sudden it'll be like, well, why are my thoughts more negative, or why I'm so depressed, or I'm crying so easily? What is it that's going on, right? um and then I figure out, oh yeah, because I stopped taking my meds. So I hop right back on those puppies and I do good for a long more time. And hopefully I'll get to a point where I can be compliant all the time. Maybe missing a day here or there because nobody's perfect, right? But yeah, so I mean, but my mental health, while I have it, or this illness, or I'm going to call it a disease because it's not a choice, for you to want to keep something like this forever. If it's a disease, they can find a cure for it or what have you, and then you're done, right? With mental health, it isn't that way. It's all the time. It's 100% all the time, and there's no real escape from it. Um, the difference is comparing it to somebody who has a grave disability with mental health issues, with bipolar, with schizophrenia or schizoaffective disorder, however, whatever form you have. Um, it's really hard because the medications take that, from what I understand, from the way it was explained to me by my son and by a lot of people who have had this, is the fact that you don't get that, what they call a high feeling. You feel flat. You feel, you don't feel what they call normal. Um, because they're used to all of these racing thoughts and going 100 miles an hour, and and they're used to dealing in psychosis, and which makes it hard for all of the bystanders, right? So you have ins and outs of hospitalizations. I'm going to talk about mainly the beginning of this, which I've been dealing with this for, or having this in our lives for about at least 15, almost 20 years. And when you get this far into it, you realize and understand what um, forever is when you're talking about this and how to manage it and how to help the loved one who has the significant or gravely disabled illness to help manage it. And I do feel that it still falls to support system. I do. I mean, they still make their choices and stuff, but to be able to have people around, a support system around when they're talking about not taking their medication or stop taking their medication, to have somebody who cares about them be able to say, look, this, you're able to have a life, you're able not to be in the hospital or go to jail or do things that put you in jail for a reason, and that reason is because of the medication that you are on. You stop that medication, this is more than likely going to start, this cycling is going to start happening again. Okay. And those are hard things to say to somebody, to a loved one. It really is. Because when you start to see the signs after they've been stable for so long, right? So in my case, 6 years of stability with him, and then the medication adjustments that he wanted to make, and the fear comes back for those that love him. The fear, the concern, that, is he going to recognize it when we approach him and tell him, or is it that he's not going to recognize it and it's going to go further and he's going to end up going back in the hospital, then coming out, then going back, then coming back out again? How long of a cycle will it be? Is it going to be a little bump where, okay, it's just one time and bad decision, I'm back on my meds, let's get this puppy back? Or is it one where it's like, well, I'm only doing it because you said that I needed to and not because I really truly believe it, so I'm going to do me? And either way, you have to be okay with whatever that answer is that your loved one who has this is letting you know, you know. In my case, I bring up concerns and I use phrases that he has agreed to um, to recognize. He said that he would recognize that what I was talking about if I use them. And one of them is my saying, your brain is working against you right now. And I know it doesn't seem like it, but it truly is. Yeah, that didn't work. It doesn't work. And you have to be okay with that until he can recognize, or I have to be okay with it until he can recognize that he needs to get back on his previous dose of medicine in order to come back and to be able to have a life that he was living life. Might not have been the one he pictured for himself, but every day that he's not in the hospital or not going to jail or having to deal with any of that, and he can have his family and his friends and be able to have those relationships, is a positive day. Because basically, essentially, what they're doing when they're gravely disabled with mental health issues is getting up every trekking day and fighting their brain every day every day. How exhausting, how exhausting. And it's important to be able to have that support. It's important to be able to have a family member or a friend be able to turn to you and say, hey, dude, you know, like, why aren't you doing your meds? You know? It doesn't mean that they will. It just means that the information is out there, so whenever it sinks in, that it can go for it. When you add more pressure onto somebody who has mental health concerns, or you use a screaming voice, or some kind of, you know, black and white talking, which is you're going to do this, or this is going to happen, or you don't do this, this is going to happen. And you put a hard line in there, all it does is it triggers their anxiety and their fear and everything else, and it causes the psychosis to get worse, not better. So to me, it's acknowledging. What I found is worked for my family and my situation is um, more of an acceptance and an acknowledgement. So accepting that this is happening is really difficult, and it sends me back to, my own anxieties and fears for when this was going on the regular, like in and out of hospitalizations, and on a 3-day hold, out, and on a 3-day hold, after 24 to 48 hours, and then back, and then, constantly moving, constantly moving, constantly moving. It's very hard. And I had to get used to a few things along the road. And that is the fact that even though they have severe mental health issues or grave mental health issues, that there are still consequences for everybody, even those with mental health. And all you can really do, or what I really do, is just support and have my own boundaries in of what I can and cannot do. One of which is the rules, which is really hard, is if you're not doing your medication and you're using or what have you, whether it's alcohol or drugs, whatever it is, I cannot have you in my home. I just can't do it because of the instability of it, and not being able to have a conversation to say, this isn't acceptable in my house. Please don't do that in my house. Whatever that is. Don't bring that in my house. You know, and it sounds harsh, but it and it might be, I'm not sure. But I love him, and I will talk to him, I will text him, I will FaceTime. It's just I can't have him around me when he's not doing what he needs to do for his own mental health, because there is no talking. It's just me sitting there listening, and then if I say one word, it's going around and around, and you don't get a word in edgewise, and then it becomes angry, and that's not my intent. It isn't to make the situation worse. It's to try to help him see, or to make it better. And if I can't do that, then he needs to figure that out, because he's been through this a lot, unfortunately, and nobody would want this or wish this on anybody. I would never in a million years want this to happen to anyone. It's hard. And it's hard on the family around. It's like you have family who really don't understand, who put an arm's distance and cut off communication, You have families who are so tired and worn out the from the process and the fight, and not getting not being able to have their um, loved one's mental health um, managed in a way that is beneficial for them. And the system is so overworked, and you know, they only help those who say, okay, yeah, I want help. But some of them are so afraid of the help that they don't even want to go. They're afraid to go. I mean, just the whole process. And that's just from making a change on a medicine. It wasn't, didn't completely stop, he said. He just lowered the dose. And then now it's because him and his doctor had a discussion, and family doesn't obviously have input because he's an adult. So now everything is going sideways again. So 6 years of no hospitals, everything going copacetic, and yeah, now it seems like we're starting again, but hopefully not for long. Hopefully he understands. He says he does, and he has appointments with doctors, so him following through will be really remains to be seen, but I'm very hopeful. I'm very hopeful for that. Um, I want to say that it's impossible to do the things you are supposed to do 100% of the time, all of the time for the rest of your life. And if you have or miss a beat every once in a while, that it's okay, that you don't have to beat yourself up over it or think that you're not a good person because of it. It's like, it's not how you fall down. It's not how you fall down. It's how you get up. It's how you find the strength to pick yourself up and move forward. And that's the main thing, is finding the strength to move forward. In the description below, you're going to notice that I have phone numbers to the suicide prevention and to the NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness, in the description below. And each of your counties, wherever it is that you live, I believe, well, I know in California, but I don't really know in other states, but I'm going to assume in other states, right? Assuming is not necessarily a good thing, but your county mental health, they have resources as well. So I would encourage those numbers too. Maybe I'll find a link and put it in on my next video. It's hard. This thing is hard, and it's lifelong. It's not the take the pill and get along, and then you're feeling better, so then you stop. Then it starts again, It's forever. You're having your life, and you're creating your life, and you're doing the things you need to do because of the medication. Your life would be disrupted and be disruptive and more chaotic without it. Now, it depends on what type of medication, and that's to be worked out between you and your doctors. And my son works with his doctor, so he'll work it out. And I work it just like I work it out with mine. I want to say please lead with compassion. It helps nothing to be hateful or mean and can cause somebody who is in a mental health crisis, when they're yelled at or traumatized more, it makes the illness itself worse. So if there's a way to walk away or to calm the situation down, then I'm encouraging that. And it's different for everybody, right? I have a more positive outlook on life, so I look at sunshines and rainbows and have very little tolerance for negativity. And not everybody is like that. And some people have a negative way of handling things, which is normal for them. But I would say try it. Try to be more positive. Try to find that breath somewhere to take a breath and allow your loved one to calm themselves down to be able to move forward in the conversation, and to reach out for the help that they need, and for the reach out for the support that you need. So support is extremely important. I know I've said it before, but I'm going to say it again. Try to find a support group that can help you, where you can go and vent, you can go and get new ideas, you can talk to others who've been in similar situations, maybe not exactly the same, but very similar. Yeah, and I'm going to say that I'm just going to keep a positive thought, and we'll see how it goes and take each moment as it comes. Remember, lead with kindness and compassion. Have a beautiful week.